Hey guys, what's going on? Curtis, we're back. So I'm in the middle of bending up some brake lines and I wanted to show you just how I kind of do it. Just something that I found makes life easier as we go along. Let me flip the camera around and show you what's up. Okay, so check it out. What this is actually aluminum TIG rod. It's kind of sweet, easy to bend. You're not wasting brake line material. It actually fits down inside our fittings. So what I did is I pre-bent some pieces, kind of played around with some different things, and then figured out exactly how we're going to delete this ABS pump. I'll show you. It's kind of dark. You can see the second piece in there. So this goes up to the proportioner valve and down. You see it's kind of mocked up into place. You know, this would be easier if it had the more simplistic version of ABS, but if it's, because it's not, I got to split the two fronts. So that's that right there. It's kind of hard to tell, it's behind the lines, but it goes down to 2 blocks. There's 3 blocks on the frame total. The back one's for the rear and the front two are for left and right. But yeah, I mean, you can see I got it kind of pre-fitted in there, so we already know what we need to do. I got the material. I just kind of want to show you that. It's just maybe like a little tick, or blah, blah, if I can just talk today. Tech tip. But what I'm using is, I believe it's 1/8 inch aluminum rod. I don't see the label on there, the right label, but it's 1/8 inch TIG rod basically. I don't think this stuff's too hateful expensive. You don't have to use TIG rod. It was just nice because it fits in the fittings real nice, and you can get your bend straight before you actually take your brake line out and make the thing. So let me pull some line out and do some cutting and flaring and all that fun stuff. Keep in mind, the flares on these, there's different types of flares if you've ever made brake line. These are actually considered a bubble flare. See if I can show you what that looks like. Here you go. So if you can see that right there, that's actually, they call that a bubble flare. Dodge does some weird metric stuff. So it requires a different kind of flare. Most people are just used to like a double flare. A double flare is pretty standard, but so I have to bubble flare anything that goes back to the factory OEM fitting. But yeah, let me get back at this thing, and when I'm done, we'll check it out. Okay, check it out, all finished up. So the 2 lines, and it's kind of dark, the 2 lines go up to your proportioner valve. I use the factory clips to hold it and just kind of put a T in it so it splits the front, and that's kind of hard to see. Not too bad, I'm okay with that. It doesn't look decent. I mean, I could have used that copper nickel line. You know, some people prefer to use it. I know we used it on the rear diff. It's definitely easier to bend, but I don't know, something about the rigid line I really like. So that's knocked out. I'll have to bleed the brakes, but I'll take care of that later. I did want to show you guys, I did get the rest of my fittings in, my bulkheads. So I think I'm gonna put in the bed like right there. So I'm probably gonna go ahead and tackle that next. Go ahead and put the bulkheads in, drill and nutsert the bed so I can mount the fuel filter. And then we will keep bumping and bumping. I did have to talk to Hot Rod Fuel Hose, because I don't know if I talked about this yet. Actually, I probably didn't. But anyway, some of these fittings were actually machined incorrect. And what I mean is the actual hose end is bottomed out on the AN fitting, which it shouldn't. There should be like a fingernail width or 2 fingernail widths or whatever. So I called them up, and they called me back, and they're gonna send me some new stuff right away. So that's exciting. So let's go ahead and work at the back of this thing. Okay, I wanna show you guys what I've been working on. Started making lines, mounted the fuel filter, so it's ready to go. Bulkheads. So I messed up this section right here, so I had to get 2 hose ends. Not gonna lie to you guys, if you're gonna notice, what you're gonna notice is it started out as this nylon with a nylon on it, ended up tearing it all off. It about kicked my butt trying to get them fittings put together. You see my shop's a mess, but basically ended up destroying 2 fittings. Wasn't too happy about that. If you want an idea what the stuff's made of, it's got nylon on the outside, then you got your braided, and then you've got the PTFE hose. So I just took all the nylon off. I could have ordered it that way. I kind of wish I did. I didn't realize how that stuff was layered when I ordered it, but now it just looks like regular AN hose. Got a really good idea. Putting the regulator is going to go right here. I'm going to cut this factory ABS bracket up. I'm going to mount that regulator probably right about in there somewhere. I've got the hoses coming over with these T's, so it's going to come out and tie together there, and it's going to feed in the front and tie together again. So I got that stuff. I've got it ran all the way up and pulled all the way through, keeping it away from all the exhaust and any heat source. And at some point, once I get a line made, I'm going to take and we'll put some clamps on it. I want to come down here. Let me get my light. I'm going to come down here real quick and show you guys. I got my Motion Raceworks ethanol content sensor all made up, mounted, tapped it. Okay, so there's a lot going on under here. So there's your bulkheads coming through. Those lines run across the top. And there's my Motion Raceworks bulkhead. So I actually just drilled and tapped the frame. So that's kind of cool. So that's nice and sturdy. It came out really nice. And I've just got it running, if you can see it, all the way up front. It's got a lot going on. One of the things I'm going to work on is getting this tidied up. Especially right here where it comes through right there. But it's not that big a deal. I'll get it all straightened up. These are the trans lines right there. So I'll get them straightened up. I've got the brake, my 2-gauge power wire, actually it's 2-aught. I got it nice and clamped up. If you look, there's like clamps right there all the way up through it. But I just need to kind of tighten it up. It's always been really, really busy through here. Pulling the fuel tank out really, really helps everything out. But I got to order a couple more fittings. Then I'm going to work on the mount. Let's go back up. We're going to work on this mount for the fuel pressure regulator. So once I'm going to take that factory mount. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this ear off and this ear off, and then weld a piece of flat plate. And I'll pretty much have that regulator like there, and that line will come across a master. It'll go double to single. We'll come across a master and we'll bolt it up nice and neat. I'm going to have to extend the wires there, but that's good. I kind of like that because for the future, when we switch motors and stuff, that should still all work out. I'm only going to probably have to make some short pieces and not have to fuss with the rest. And I do like it too because it's out of the way of everything. But we're going to order these fittings. I'm going to work on this. I'll show you what this looks like when I'm finished. All right, here's what we got going on. We are officially plumbed to the engine bay. So I took the factory ABS bracket. If you can't tell, I hacked some of the ears off of it and added some other ears. And that's a little bit dark. So I got my regulator mounted, my coils remounted. My return lines are done, going in the side and then coming out the bottom, back. You won't believe me when I tell you this. I'm actually short line. I only have one more line left to make. And darn if I don't have enough. That's the last piece I've got. It's probably about 2 feet, and I probably need maybe a 3 feet long piece, to go from that fitting all the way over to the far side rail. So obviously that's going to take a week, which sucks, but I'd rather, make it turn out nice. I did finish up everything back here as well. So I do need to make some spacers. I might do that next, but fuel filter's mounted. I'll get some clamps. I'll probably clamp that like right there just to hold it still, and we'll square everything up and make everything pretty. Yeah, so that's pretty much that. I got my vent line pretty much done. Now I got to do some wiring. So I have to right now. I'm using the factory fuel pump relay in this box from the Dominator. This time last year when I was doing all my videos, I think I talked about that. But I got to pull that wire out. We have to run it to the auxiliary fuse box in the back of the truck, and that'll do one pump. And then what I'm also gonna do is, instead of running all 3 pumps all the time, which doesn't make sense, we're gonna run 1 pump all the time and then have the other 2 come on maybe when the things start seeing boost. So what that means is I need 2 trigger wires to run from the Dominator back here, and then we can configure that in the Dominator. So as far as wiring this, so I got to do those 2 things. So that's 2 of those wires. Fuel pressure sender. I'm sorry, not pressure, level sender which I already have a connector about right here coming down to the body, so I just have to do a short section up there. So I'll probably work on that next. I'll get it all wired up, and then in the meantime, I'll order the line, and then next time you guys see us, hopefully we're checking for leaks and flushing the lines out. Okay guys, it's been some time later. The plumbing is officially done. I have to flush the lines out. So now that all the plumbing's done, the lines are made, you can see it coming out the back, going the regulator, goes down through the regulator, the stuff coming in, all the other lines are made. I'm actually starting to work on wiring. So back when I rewired it, I got this fuse block kit, and basically what I did is it's got 6 relays in it and 6 fuses. So I've already got it ready to go. So this is kind of modular, so I can take it and stick it back in the truck. But right there, that connector will be for the 3 pumps. This one right here is going to be for the 3 triggers for the pumps. All this other stuff is prior for transmission, 2 transmission fan triggers, and then 2 fans. So I got that. So I like that. That actually turned out pretty good. So now what I have to do is, you can see all the lines are done. I'm going to have to run wiring from there down through the bed into the fuse blocks. Got to remount the fuse blocks. Then I have to pull the trigger wire from the Dominator all the way back down through here, up under the truck. And I'm going to clean stuff up as I go. There's a couple of things that I think I can do better, especially now that the fuel tank's out and I got a bunch of room. But that's what we are working on now. Once I get that done, then we're going to start flushing all the lines out, then tighten up all the lines, check for leaks, and we'll see if we can get this thing to fire. It's been a while. Been working on the wiring off and on. I'm about done. I did want to show you guys something before I finished up. I know I kind of mentioned it before. One of the things we're going to add to this truck is a Davis drive shaft speed sensor. This ring right here, they come in a bunch of different sizes. I measure the yoke at the rear to get the right inner diameter, and it's just clamshells around it. If you can see it, it's actually got a couple Allens in it. I'll flip it around. So not a big deal to put on. Then you got the actual speed sensor, which is right there in that bag. So I need to go ahead and mount this stuff. The wiring, you know, as I go, I've never been real happy with the wiring under the frame of the back of the truck. I've been trying to clean it up as I go. So it's looking a lot better. It's actually looking way better. So I've got that wire pulled all the way to the rear diff. I need to put this stuff on, and I can finish putting connector ends on this. Terminate the connectors for that fuse box we got in the back of the truck. And actually at that point, the wiring's pretty much done. The only other thing I gotta do is we finally hooked up our ethanol content sensor that I got from Motion. There's a resistor that I have to put in up here close to the ECU is what I decided to do. So I still have to do that. But I'm gonna work on this. When I get this stuff installed, then I'll go in the truck and I'll show you what it looked like. We're getting closer. So yeah, let me get after it. Okay guys, here's where we stand. Wiring's about 98% done. There's one other thing I have to do, but I got it all tidied up. I started flushing all the lines out, kind of flushing the lines out as I go, tightening them up. And I ran into this weird problem where I'm using these Ys, one here, and they were leaking like really bad, which is odd. You know, that's why I've had problems with that in the past. I bought these fancy hand wrenches, I never tighten it, you know, whatever. But the crazy part is they're only leaking at the Y. So here and here. So I went ahead and I pulled this one off. And I'm about convinced these things are they're machined wrong. I think this end's machined wrong. I think it's before the cone, because these are and fittings, right? So they seal on the cone taper. I think before that part actually meets up, it's actually being stopped internally. I don't know if the threads has too much threads or something's not deep enough or whatever, but it's funny that both of them leak on the same side. I kind of ran into this before. The company was cool. They sent me some other stuff. I had another issue before I even got close to putting fuel through this thing where these O-ring fittings right here, these were machined wrong. I mean, you can't see by the camera. It was just the fitting. When you threaded the actual hose end on it, the hose end was actually bottoming out on the nut. So they sent me some different stuff for that. But again, so I don't know. I'm going to reach out to them and see what's going on. I'm going to go ahead and you know, you guys are going to see this. I know I haven't been putting a lot of videos out because I feel like this has just like been the never ending thing. I feel like I've took longer to do this than actual wiring. But that stuff's done. There was one last thing I wanted to show you guys. I do have, let me grab my light guy here. I do have the drive shaft speed stuff set up. I tested it out yesterday. It is amazing. It works really good. So I'm excited about that. We'll sneak under here right there. So if you can see that, let me get you guys some better light. So right there, so that's the tone ring. There you go. So that's the tone ring with the sensor all ready to go. I know you haven't seen up under here in a while. I've kind of got it all tidied up. I redid some of the wiring. You can see it as it passes through. I still have to do something with, these are the trans lines on the bottom, and the top set is the fuel lines. So I'll tidy those up. That's my Motion Raceworks ethanol content sensor. As far as wiring goes, that's the only last thing I have to do. There's a connection that I need to make up top. But I did make everything nice and neat. I'm really happy with the way it turned out. But that's it for this one. Keep in mind, we still, excuse me while I get up, we still have to put our revalve front shocks in from Viking. I got these a while ago. I do plan on sticking them in. I was going to do just kind of like an in-depth look of the front suspension on this. I know we went over it before, but you'll be there with me while I tear it apart. So I'm going to go ahead and end this one off here. The next time you see this thing, it should be running up, moving around. We're going to go ahead and put those on, and springtime's rolling around. So, yeah. Until next time, thanks for watching, you guys. If there's any questions you have, you know, make sure that you're not going to be able to hear me. If you got any questions you have, go ahead and ask them in the comments. I've had this platform for a while. I don't know everything about it, but I've seemed to be doing pretty well. But again, thanks for watching, and see you next time.